Yo, it's your guy Ben Duran, the illest film reviewer and fan in the galaxy, back again. And today I'm gonna give you guys a Throwback Thursday review of Man of Steel in honor of Birds of Prey coming out. Yuck. I figured since it's a DCEU movie that's out now, I haven't seen it yet. I figured I'd do a review of a DCEU film. So I'm here doing Man of Steel. So yeah, I guess I'll kick it off with saying that when I was younger, when this film first came out and I first saw it, I loved it so much, man. Like, I came out saying, this is the best Superman movie ever. And, I was younger and didn't know a lot about film at that time. I just watched action films, really. My palate wasn't fully developed then. But, and it's still not, it's a learning experience through film. But now with, a deeper knowledge of film and understanding of film as well, I still hold that same opinion, but for different reasons. When I was younger, I was like, oh, I love this movie mostly because of the action, especially the ending fight with Zod. But now it's a lot more, it's more so of the deeper themes that this film touches on. This film touches on, a lot of dope aspects that, to me, science fiction does, which is why I say this film was more of a science fiction film than a superhero film. Like, at times, it reminds me of Robert Zemeckis' Contact film starring Jodie Foster so much. Just that first Contact story, this is a realistic look of what would happen if Superman existed on our planet. What would his story be, and what would it look like? And I love how Zack Snyder painted that picture. Although, to me, when I bringing up the word painted, the color palette is what drew me out of this film a lot. Well, not a lot. I can't even say it drew me out of the film a lot, but it's something I noticed drastically, and especially more recently on YouTube, I had seen a video of somebody actually put the color back into the film, not even just adding color, just basically like restoring the color that the film was on there before, that Zack Snyder basically like desaturated it. And wow, it was such a beautiful looking film. Especially when he was flying through Africa. That was specifically the scene that they touched on. But there were scenes where he had got finished taking down the world engine and on the Indian Ocean, and he reaches up to the sun, and you see his suit and just the color popping on. Oh my gosh! So I'm like, that's one thing, a choice I wish he didn't make, was the desaturation of the color palette in this film, because it gives you that hope. So when people say this film, it didn't feel hopeful, I understand. I get where they're coming from. But I think it's more so with that specific thing than the overall narrative of the story. So I'm just going to dive right into, the other things. So, for example, the scene between Jonathan Kent and Clark when he was younger, where a lot of people misconstrued what he was saying, but where it's like, he was like, oh, maybe you should have let the kids down the bus. He was being sarcastic. He wasn't being serious. Like, come on. But he's coming from the perspective of, this is my son. Like, a very selfish perspective, yes. Which I can see where people are coming from when they don't want Jonathan Kent to exhibit things like that. But again, this film is a very real film. It's a very realistic take on the character. So that's what a real father would say to his son that he doesn't want to lose. So that is something I get. But I want to go all the way. I want to go back to the beginning of the film, specifically the opening sequence. That, wow, man, that's straight out. It felt like I was watching a Dune novel come to life. Which, by the way, I'm very excited for that Dune film. Denis Villeneuve is directing this year. It's coming out this year. But that's besides the point. But like, Snyder, man, this guy just knows how to shoot action sequences, man. And then pulling that right from JJ's script. JJ Abrams actually wrote a script for Superman back in the day, and he had like this sequence where it was like a battle on Krypton, or a battle for Krypton, where basically he dove into like a lot of the culture of Krypton, which Zack Snyder obviously read and really enjoyed and liked, and added it to his film, did his version of it. So it was good to live in that world, to understand where Superman comes from. And honestly, he showed you so much of Krypton because he wanted you to see the juxtaposition, of Krypton from Earth, like just culturally, societally, how both civilizations operate and things like that, and the difference between them. And it was something that was very cool to see. And to me, it adds to the overall theme of the film, which I'll, explain later and what I like so much about it. But just getting to know Krypton was something that added to the later on themes of the film. And honestly, I just loved how he pulled from past Superman scripts in general. Like John Peterson's famous polar bear even made a fucking appearance in this movie. So that was really cool to see. But Snyder to me, Snyder understood the character so much. So it really infuriated me when people later on were saying that, oh, he doesn't understand Superman, he shouldn't direct Superman, blah, blah, blah. I feel that way about him and Batman. I definitely feel like he's a good fit for Batman in terms of action, but he's not a good fit for Batman in terms of theme and character and narrative and things like that. But for Superman, to me, he was perfect, which is weird because it's like you would never expect Zack Snyder to make a sci-fi film like this. And again, I reiterate, to me, this is a sci-fi film before it is a comic book film. So, Michael Shannon is Zod. I loved him as Zod. At times, I felt like he was overcooking it. But there's only one other actor I could see pulling Zod off, and that's, for me, Gerard Butler. Because at times I felt Michael Shannon was just overcooking, putting too much sauce in the pot. Whereas I feel like Gerard Butler would have brought like this reserved stoicness to Zod, whereas in some scenes you'll see Michael Shannon, hey, I will find him, just Gerard Butler saying, I will find you, and just having him look intently into it. Like, he's a good, like, in the proper hands, which I think Snyder could have been. He would have been a dope Zod. That would have been dope to see. But Michael Shannon, man, his just that speech at the end though was like fire. About how Superman took everything from him, but Michael Shannon says it way better than I ever could, so I'm not going to say it. The action sequences in this film are some of the best I've seen in comic book films and just cinema, period. Like, in terms of like superpowered beings fighting each other, like obviously the ending scene between Clark and Zod in Metropolis. Wow, my God, man, Snyder, man, when he does action good, he does it well. Oh my God. He even gave me my favorite Batman action sequence in Batman versus Superman. You already know what I'm talking about, in the warehouse, which I will talk about at another time. I plan on doing a review for that as well. I might do actually, nah, because for Wonder Woman, I got to do I'm probably going to do a review of the first Wonder Woman, a Throwback Thursday review of that. So, but you know what? I'm going to do a Batman versus Superman review very soon. It might be the next one, actually. But, but just how he shot the action and things like that, but more so the flight. Like, that's what was really creative to me, was how he used different, these weird camera angles and things like that to capture, how the Kryptonians fly, specifically the flight sequence when Superman was flying across the world and through Africa and everything. To me, that's so, for me personally, I get it's not for everybody. That's just as iconic as Christopher Reeve, his Superman flying in space, to which they did that as well in this film as well. You have to pay homage to what came before. And I feel like they did that very well, while also establishing their film as completely different than that. Because this is completely different from any Superman we've ever seen. Even very different from the CW Superman going on right now, the Arrowverse version, whom I love. I love his Superman so much. But his Superman is kind of a response to how people felt about Cavill's Superman. And, just rolling right into Cavill. To me, he's so slept on and disrespected as Superman. It's ridiculous. He brings a sense of being lost, but also discovery towards the role. Like, and what I mean by that is, at the beginning of the film, he felt like a man like that was in limbo, trying desperately to discover himself. And by the end of it, fully coming into his own as Clark Kent and stepping into the role of Superman. Not necessarily there yet, but stepping into it. And to me, that's what people need to realize. This is a guy who was Superman for a day. He like literally put the costume on for a day, and like people with the same powers as him and in some ways more powerful than him show up and say, hey, we want to take over your planet and also kill you. Sorry, not sorry. So it's like you have to understand he's an inexperienced Superman with almost no experience at all besides, helping people on little ins and outs. Like, well, not little. I mean, he saved the oil rig and everything, but it's not like he's dealt with world shattering things before. So just give the guy a break. Like he's learning. So, yeah, I feel like Cavill, and then Henry Cavill, period. I feel like people just shit on him as an actor when obviously if you shit on him, you haven't seen Man from Uncle. And now with The Witcher out, I feel like he's going to get the respect he deserves as an actor. So, and I related to his Superman the most, especially with how he discovered and learned of his Kryptonian culture and heritage while also having to reconcile that with the Earth, the earthly culture he was raised by but never fully accepted by. And then Snyder just took it even deeper and drove it home with him having to choose between both of those cultures that starkly contrast each other. And he literally throws a scene in where Clark had to kill Zod and to save a family, which was kind of cheesy because it's like he has so many other options he could have did but kill him. But it was put in to serve as Clark's definitive choice of humanity over Krypton. And that's what that scene was in there for. So I know a lot of people had an issue with him killing Zod. And to me, it was a way to show you like he's choosing humanity over Krypton and stepping into his beginning roles of being Superman. And then just the scene where, and I'm getting to Amy Adams now, when she just holds him and consoles him, and it's like it was worth it, man. Just she's the human form. She's the life representation of that choice being worth it, because like in his eyes, she's the best of humanity. She's strong but loving and caring. And those are the sensibilities that Amy Adams brings to Lois Lane. I'm just going to roll right into her. Amy Adams is such a brilliant actress, and she just brings this fierceness to Lois Lane that's very unique to her iteration, but at the same time giving credence to previous ones, but like just being specifically hers, because whether you're talking about Margot Kidder or Erica Durance, and even more recently Bitsy Tulloch from the Arrowverse Superman, her Lois, I love her Lois. I love her version so much. Her version is so awesome. But Amy's version stands out to me because of, again, like I said, her, like she represents, to me, she has that fierceness that's there with Lois Lane, but it's the warmth that she embodies the most. Just, she's not just there to be Superman's love interest, you feel me? He loves her. To me, like, he loved her for reasons in this film. Even though the kiss at the end was kind of weird, they didn't really earn it. I felt like they shouldn't have kissed at the end. They shouldn't have been a couple by the end of the film, but whatever. You kind of had to have the big kiss at the end, but he's hot, she's hot, they have to kiss. But he in many ways, Lois reminds Clark of his mother, who was played brilliantly, man. Brilliantly, and reminded him of his mother and her strengths and things like that, but also that warmth that she brought. So it was cool to see. Amy Adams just is amazing. So overall, I feel Man of Steel is a really good film, a really good science fiction film, but a really good Superman film. And to me, the best Superman film ever made. There, I said it. Christopher Reeve will always be Superman. Always, man. R.I.P. to the legend. But to me, this Superman, you like Christopher Reeve Superman because of Christopher Reeve. Like with the issues with filming, his Superman and Superman 2 with Richard Donner and things like that. It's like this one, to me, felt like the most concise version of Superman. You feel me? Like, then you have Bryan Singer that just wanted to remake Christopher Reeve Superman, which I love Brandon Routh as Superman, especially seeing him in the recent Crisis on Infinite Earths. That was really cool to see. Like, him get to reprise the role and show people why he was so good in the role. But to me, Henry Cavill's Superman is Superman upon the merit of the whole creative process of everybody adding in their 2 cents, from Snyder to the writers to the director to the cinematographer, to the editor, everything, just everybody contributing to this character. And to me, man, it still harkens back to tones and themes that the DCEU were bold trailblazers in exploring. And honestly, I have to be honest that the newer installments of the DCEU lost in a pursuit to compete with Marvel, which I don't understand why they do that. And that's why I'm so anti Birds of Prey, by the way, because I feel this is and I hate to get a little political here, this is just like a SJW throw up fest trying to compete with Captain Marvel. Like, let's see who can one up the feminist agenda. And it's like, all right, whatever. But yeah, like, and then with Aquaman, like Aquaman to me had a lot of the same explored a lot of the same themes that Man of Steel did, and it's like they just relegated it to being this big dumb action film that I enjoyed at some points. Like some of Aquaman was really good, but it's that script, man. Like, geez, Louise, like that's why I'm like David Goyer did an excellent job writing this film, and Snyder did a even more brilliant job to me, bringing that script to life, but. Dude, the people, whoever wrote that Aquaman script, it was like, get somebody else, because it's like they did not explore. They explored the themes of Arthur Curry in the most basic ways you possibly could. So, so I'm hoping that they can get back to those tones and themes that us fans like. Because although I wasn't completely happy with the DCEU, following with Batman versus Superman, the theatrical version, because the Ultimate Edition is a much better film. And then Justice League, I was happy with Wonder Woman. Aquaman was meh, and obviously Joker was phenomenal. But again, that's separate, and to me that was getting back to those themes that exploring those themes that comic book films usually don't, and that more so sci-fi films do. But Joker was more of like a dramedy, kind of like a Taxi Driver, in the same vein of as obviously as a Taxi Driver. I'm just drawing a blank on the genre that film is called, but yeah. But I'm looking forward to the future, because with Matt Reeves' The Batman on the horizon, the first Wonder Woman. The second one looks good, but it looks like it's going more towards that blockbuster aspect than the themes that the first Wonder Woman explored in terms of themes of war and things like that. So, but yeah. So overall, I gave Man of Steel. I didn't really give it a score because I wasn't scoring films back then. So my official score for Man of Steel, I give Man of Steel 8.5 out of 10. 8.5 out of 10. Magnificent film. If you've never seen it, I don't think it's on Netflix, but find it somewhere on any streaming platform and just watch it. It's a really good watch. And yeah, so there's my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for tuning in, and more to come. I'm going to try and do a Throwback Thursday either every Thursday or every other Thursday. I'm going to be starting school soon, so my schedule's going to be hectic, with work and everything. But I'm going to continue to get content out to you guys. So thanks for tuning in, and like, comment, subscribe, and share. And yeah, peace. Be easy.